On yesterday's episode of Locked on USC, I said I'm going to give the offensive line 3 games to get their act together. Then how many games should I give the defensive line, to show everybody that they're the best in the Big Ten and maybe one of the best in the country? I'll let you know.
You are Locked on USC, your daily podcast on the USC Trojans, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, fight on, everyone. I'm your host, Mark Hulkin, and thanks for making Locked on USC. It's part of the Locked on Network. Thanks for making Locked on USC your first listen every day. Whether you're watching the show on YouTube, pick a platform, download it. The show's always free. I always appreciate your support. Today's episode brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers, you can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. On yesterday's episode, I explained my rationale. Going to give the offensive line 3 games to kind of, fix their chemistry, make sure everybody's playing together. I set it up this way. Essentially, basically the schedule sets up well. You got Missouri State, Georgia Southern, Purdue on the road. It's a nice way to kind of level up as you get to the tougher part of the schedule. I broke it down. The offensive line, they're projected to have 2.5 new starters in 2025. You're going to have a new starter at left guard, a new starter at center, more than likely. Tobias Raymond started at right tackle last year, so he's got some experience. So that's why I'm giving the offensive line that latitude, to kind of work on their chemistry, get those 5 individual parts working as one. The defensive line, though, different situation completely. I'm going to be generous, right? I'm in a good mood. You'll know why I'm in a good mood in the second segment. I'm actually in a good mood because more than that, but stick around for the second, trust me, second and third segment. I'm going to be generous with the defensive line. Denton Lynn's defensive line, it's coached up by Coach Eric Henderson, Coach Sean Nua. I'm going to give them the first half of the first game against the Bears, Missouri State Bears. By the way, 67 more days till kickoff. Fight on. Look, save for Gavin Meyer, everyone returns from last year's group. Everyone that matters. Bear Alexander's up there in Oregon struggling. It's one of the reasons I'm in a good mood. Like I said, stick around. Not only does USC return pretty much everybody. Coach Nua, Coach Henney, that room is now a year older. And, it's not just a year older. It's deeper. And it's deeper with the interior depth. That's where they needed the help the most. So they grabbed 700 pounds out of the transfer portal. They added some really nice pieces through recruiting. That defensive line room is going to be really good. You got Keyshawn Silver, Jamal Jarrett. Those guys are expected to step in, make an immediate impact. You brought them in from Kentucky and from Georgia, respectively. Yeah, everyone is anticipating those guys being ready from the opening kickoff. First time USC takes the field defensively, those guys have to be ready to show why everybody wanted them out of the transfer portal. Those guys are actually competing for playing time. Right? Here's the guys who everybody anticipates playing inside. You've got Kobe Pepe. You've got Devin Tompkins, who was the talk of spring. Jide Abasiri, a year older. Floyd Bucard, one of those freshmen who's got really special feet. That's Coach Henney. He said, I do playing on Sundays. You got, Ratumana Bulabalavu. Again, a year older. Carlon Jones, a year older, healthy. You brought in Cash Jacobson, the big defensive tackle. Kind of poached him away from Oklahoma. And maybe even Thanos, Jakeem Stewart. Maybe he even moves inside at some point. Who knows? But those are the inside guys. You can see plenty of depth now. It's not Gavin Myers and Kobe Pepe and, oops, there goes Bear Alexander. You've got some pieces you can move around. As far as the guys on the outside, Anthony Lucas, he's returning. If he picks up where he left off, before that injury last year, kind of, takes that next step, elevates his game, D-line's going to be in great shape. Just if we're working from the inside out, I mean, you've got the size in the middle, you got the depth, you got the athleticism. Anthony Lucas, we know he can hold the edge against the run. That's what he really showed last year. I think that next step for him is he needs to get that better pass rush, develop that move, find that burst. Cameron Fountain, true sophomore. I mean, he's really waiting to burst on the scene. He really, I think, came into his own during spring camp, playing with a lot of confidence. I think the team recognized that. They mic'd him up. We talked about that before on Locked on USC. So when you see players like that, other players want to gravitate to them. They look to you as a leader. Braylon Shelby, all right, he's now a junior. It's make or break time for him. I mean, he looks like one of those first guys off the bus. Now he just needs to play like one. Same thing with Cameron Fountain. I mean, he's one of those difference makers that USC brought in with the 2024 recruiting class. All right. Let's continue on the edge. Did the coaching staff find redshirt freshman Elijah Newby? Did they find the best spot for him on the roster? That's for a position for him. They were trying him out as an edge rusher during the spring. He might be the best athlete on the team, period. I mean, he's fast. He played wide receiver in high school. Got a high football IQ. It's going to be interesting to see what they get out of the second-year player. Talked about Jakeem Stewart. He's going to start out on the outside, defensive end. He's going to play. And the reason why I know he's going to play, not just because he was so highly recruited, not just because he was highly recruited, one of the players that everybody in the country wanted, one of those guys you consider as a can't-miss prospect. I just know how serious he is. Remember, when spring camp was over, he was working out with Aaron Donald. Yeah, Aaron Donald from the Rams, about to be in the Hall of Fame soon, once he's eligible. I know how serious he is. Aaron Donald, he doesn't mess around. And he's not going to waste his time on someone who's wasting his. So it's not just a personal favor to Coach Henning. If Aaron Donald doesn't want to waste it, work out with somebody, he's not going to work out with somebody. That's a great sign for USC fans. Jakeem Stewart is learning from the best, not just his coach, but one of the ones to ever play in the game. I talked about recruiting. Gus Cordova, if he comes in ready, I don't know how much time he's going to get, but he's going to get a chance to prove himself in fall camp. I mean, that's another body. He looks college ready. If you followed any of his, off-season workouts, the dude is all about dog work. So at least for me, I think it's just what's between the ears for him. How fast can he pick things up? So as far as the defensive line, they get no quarter from me. Right? They're going to get the first half against Missouri State to work out whatever kinks they have. Then it's go time. Right? This is year 2 of Dan Lynn's system. It's the same group returning. Plus, the room is now deeper with more talent. It's time to prove to everyone, not just the Big Ten. USC has one of the best defensive lines in the country, potentially. I mean, look, if we're being honest here, what kind of challenge is Missouri State and Georgia Southern going to offer? Let's not forget last year, USC, after that win against LSU, they came home, they shut out Utah State. Is it a big ask of me to say, hey, can USC's defense get a shutout out of one of these first two games? Is that really out of the question? Is that a tall task? How much resistance is Josh Henson's group at Purdue going to provide? His offensive line. All spring camp, I kept reporting about how good USC's defensive line looked from what I was able to see, and then taking some, people passing the information who actually watch them in live action, guys who I can trust, people close to the program. So if the D-line looked that good, only two things can be true. USC's defensive line is really good. USC's offensive line isn't very good. Both can be true at the same time. Both. Maybe USC's offensive line is good and USC's defensive line is great. Like I said, I think we're going to find out in 67 more days. That's when USC kicks off against Missouri State. I'm giving the offensive line 3 games to get their stuff together. USC's defensive line, you get the first half of the first game. And then I'm coming after you if you're not ready. Again, I'm in a good mood. You don't need more than 30 minutes to figure it out. Not against that competition. All right. You want to know why I'm in a good mood? Stick around. I'll tell you why. Coming up next. Summer sports, full swing. We're here. It's summer. It's hot. Are you getting hot? You enjoying the summer? Whether you're all about baseball, I don't know. I love baseball. I love my LA Dodgers. Whether you like, baseball under the lights, golf on the green, high stakes soccer, you like football, European football, FanDuel. Yep, it's the best way to enjoy every game. Make it more exciting. Look, you're already following the action, right? You're a sports fan. Then why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game with your friends, or, they don't want to join you. Maybe they're hanging out at the beach. Maybe they're getting sunburned. Well, you're burning things up because you're making money. It's easy to use at FanDuel. They pay you fast. And it makes even those regular season games feel like must-watch events. Seriously. Whether you're placing a same-game parlay or you're watching a bet ride into the 9th inning, FanDuel makes it feel like you're part of the action. So check it out. If you want to be new to FanDuel, new customers, you can bet just $5 and you're going to get $150 in bonus bets if that first $5 bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. It's that easy. All right. I told you this might happen. This is kind of the schadenfreude side of me who likes to enjoy other people's misery, especially those who like to pretend you hit a home run, even though you maybe just hit a ground rule double. That's the Oregon Ducks fan base. All right, they've been living large lately, thinking the world. They think their name is Copernicus, that the world revolves around them. Well, got news for you. Life ain't that good for you right now. USC's recruiting, it's ascending. It's like a rocket ship to the moon. It cannot be stopped. Oregon recruiting is taking a major dump. That's why I'm in a good mood. Look, at one time, Jonas Williams was committed to Cannonball Dan Lanning. All right, we know Jonas is now part of USC's 2026 class. He's shut it down. Oregon now needed another quarterback. So they pivoted. They said, well, we're going to go get Jared Curtis, the number 1 quarterback in the country, according to some services. They said he's a better prospect than Jonas Williams anyways. And why wouldn't he want to come to Oregon instead of going to Georgia? Well, swing and a miss. Strike 2, Jared Curtis, pick Georgia. So Oregon lost Jonas Williams to USC. They thought they had a really good chance at Jared Curtis. He ended up at Georgia. So now you've got the least sophisticated fan base in the country. They are convinced, well, we wanted Rider Lions anyways, right? That was always our number one option. That was the plan. No matter what, we are going to get Rider Lions. Well, nothing makes a really good baseball hitter look more stupid than a pitcher that can just throw that killer changeup, right? You've seen it happen. Typically the batter is swinging really early, and it just looks stupid doing it. The ball, you're swinging because you're thinking it's a fastball, and meanwhile the ball's like halfway to the plate. And you're like, oops. That's Oregon recruiting right now. They're just going, oops. Here's another oops. It looks like Rider Lions is going to pick BYU. I said this might happen. This might be the biggest whiff by one program in a really deep quarterback class. I can't remember the last time the quarterback class across the country was this deep, but this is one of them. Maybe it was that Bryce Young, DJ Ungalele class. Anyways, Oregon doesn't have a quarterback right now. Everyone they thought they were going to get. But no, not you. Not this year. Not happening. Look, I think they're moving on to a young man. His name is Bryson Beavers. Good player. Good prospect. Like I said, I think he'll be good. But he's also being courted by LSU. If you were a quarterback and you had to choose between Oregon and LSU, where are you going? Exactly. LSU. So option number 4 isn't even guaranteed. Look, Bryson Beaver, he had a solid Elite 11 final. So, I mean, that's giving the Daffies, Donald Duck, whatever, giving a little bit of solace, a little bit of consoling. But again, I don't know if they're going to get him. Like I said, I'm enjoying the hell out of this. I'm in a good mood. I mean, it's going so poorly for Dan Lanning's gang of quacks. This is how bad things are going during recruiting for them right now. So I told you that Jalen Lott took his official visit to Eugene over the weekend. While he's on his official visit, On3 is putting out crystal balls, going into their recruiting prediction machine saying, yeah, I think USC is going to get Jalen Lott. His visit wasn't even over yet. I mean, that's how bad things are going for Oregon recruiting right now. In the last 24 hours or so, Richard Wesley picked Texas. Rider Lions is getting set to pick BYU when he comes back. Well, he's going to play for BYU when he comes back from his Mormon day. Look, I get it. I know this is a USC show. But here's the connection. Why is Oregon getting boat raced by USC right now when it comes to recruiting? Everyone agrees USC stepped up its NIL game. They got something figured out that nobody else has figured out. Is it that? Is it that in a combination of those Nike tariffs? Or is it just kicking Phil Knight in the groin? Yeah, Nike got hit with like a 50% tariff, in case you weren't aware of it. Did old Danny boy, Dan Lanning, did he lose the trust of the recruits by sticking his nose in the whole Nico Maliava situation? Allegedly. There's some speculation out there that it was Dan Lanning who kind of tattled, floated it out there, ruining everything. I don't know. Does Oregon have all their money tied up in the transfers that they brought in the last couple of years? Can they not afford to pay the recruits? Or is it as simple as, all these offensive recruits that they're losing out on? They don't think that the brains behind that offense, Will Stein, Oregon's offensive coordinator. Maybe they don't think he's going to be there after this season. I'm one of those people. Will Stein's probably going to be ready for his first head coaching job. One of those lower level schools. Like a San Diego State type of program. San Jose State. Oregon. I'm kidding. Maybe I'm not. Look, you all know that I write articles and cover the team over on wearesc.com, part of the On3 network, when I'm not here. Well, Scoop Duck is also part of the On3 network. By the way, free plug. There you go, Scoop Duck. Anyway, their insider, publisher, he was talking all sorts of mad guff last year during recruiting season. Quote, "It's the summer of Dan." He was always telling other fan bases, cry harder. And this is when, people were complaining about Oregon, how they were spending money on recruiting, buying their roster. The first response was always, cry harder. Who's crying now? I mean, my goodness. How the tone has changed over there at Scoop Duck. Now Justin Hopkins, he's writing articles, literally saying, come on, Dan, got to reel in a few fish here. They keep missing on everybody. Here's the thing. A lot of these elite recruits, they're trying to get their stuff wrapped up by the end of summer. They don't want to be focusing on this stuff going into their senior season. They want to get their deals in place, sign those contracts, go play their senior season, enroll in December or January. Oregon's trying to put together a class. So far, all spring, and where we're at in the summer, where we're June 23rd, 24th. This is what he's telling his subscribers now. It's June. Don't worry. This one isn't over. USC's class, don't worry, it's going to fall apart. Keep chopping wood, gang. Trying to keep a positive spin on it. It's gotten so bad that whenever USC or someone else got a commitment that Oregon was battling for, Justin Hopkins has reached meme territory. Everyone, USC fans especially, is like, say the line. Say the line, J-Hop. Basically, the line is, it ain't over. I need to remind everybody, Oregon is the returning conference champion. They went undefeated last year during the regular season. Well, they were undefeated until they got that belt to ass from Ohio State in the playoffs. And I mean, they got whooped. They got whooped. Taken behind the shed, old Yeller style. So yeah, Oregon's supposed to be the it program. USC average, right? Meanwhile, Lincoln Riley, his coaching staff, with some help from Chad Bowden, they're boat racing the floats. At Elite 11, I asked one of the Oregon insiders, I said, hey, what's your thoughts on this? What's going on? And he wasn't sure what the deal is, except to say, yeah, you know what? I think Oregon's just trying to pay their retention payroll right now. But other than that, even he was perplexed. He was like, I don't know. Can't really put my finger on it. I mean, look, it could be as simple as USC is paying more and the recruits from California just want to stay home. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just that. Regardless, I don't care. Watching the floats circle the recruiting train has been fun. It's put me in a great mood. And every time USC gets a recruiting win and Oregon takes a recruiting loss, USC elevates itself. Oregon kind of comes back to where they belong in the circle of life, and everything's good. All right. Got one more segment to go. Got another way too, well, maybe it's not too early anymore. We're getting some preseason picks This time, Athlon. They threw their hat in the ring. Talk about that next. So Athlon Sports predicts the Big Ten football order of finish in 2025. And if you're wondering where USC is, not very good. Middle of the pack. Athlon also did their preseason all Big Ten team selections. Not one player from USC made first or second team. Not one. And only Mackay. Only Mackay Lemon made 13. As I go through this list, this is going to prove to you that nobody watches the games. Nobody. People just make rando type of comments based on reputation. They think it sounds good, so I'm going to say it. Athlon Sports predicted the Big Ten football order of finish ahead of the 2025 college football season. These are familiar teams. There are familiar teams at the top, but expect a new champion this fall. The Big Ten is top-heavy again this season. The middle-tier teams might have something to say this time around. We're now just 2 months away from the season. Excuse me. All right. So Athlon picks Penn State to win the conference. Penn State is the projected first-place finisher in the Big Ten this season. The common theme is the Nittany Lions are running it back like Ohio State did last season. In other words, they're returning the core of their roster. If that's the case, then State College better get ready for a national championship parade. Drew Alar and others are back in key positions to make this one of the best teams in the country. I agree. They return a lot of great pieces. They should be picked to win the conference. Ohio State's number 2. Ohio State goes into the 2025 season as the defending national champions. Can they repeat? There's surely a possibility. Caleb Downs stars on defense and Jeremiah Smith on offense. The Buckeyes have no shortage of talent and experience to win the Big Ten and more. Okay. My editorial here. No mention of all the pieces they had to replace, including a quarterback. All right. Number 3, Oregon. Yeah. Oregon just won the Big Ten last season, so there is a chance for a repeat question mark. Like Ohio State, sure thing. There's always a chance. Dante Moore steps in at quarterback for Dylan Gabriel, but will be without wide receiver Evan Stewart. The defense should be stout, though, and Dylan Fenneman will star in the secondary. Dylan transferred from Purdue. Just like I was talking about with their recruiting in the previous segment, just like that's taking a giant dump, look for Oregon to take a step back in 2025. Just too many pieces. I get it. They've been building their roster through the transfer portal. I don't know. We'll see. Michigan, number 4. This one, a little too high for me, but Sharon Moore goes into year 2 as a head coach, albeit with an impending 2-game suspension, with what could be a better Wolverines team. Okay. Sorry. Look, I don't know how Michigan is better when their entire defensive line got drafted. That doesn't make you a better team. The guys playing behind them weren't better than those guys playing in front of them. And you've got an overweight freshman quarterback leading the way. No. Way too high. Another team that's way too high in this listing, Indiana, number 5. Although Athlon said this, Indiana might come back down to earth this season after nearly stealing the Big Ten last year. Sure, they ran up against Ohio State, but still made the college football playoff. But winning 10 regular season games last year wasn't even enough. What? What does Kurt Signetti have for a follow-up campaign? It might be totally surprising. It might not be totally surprising to see this team finish 9-3 or something in that ballpark. In other words, I think this person was just, let's just cheer on the new favorite sweetheart. Whatever. I roll. Illinois, number 6. Just like Indiana, this is just another one of those rando picks because they're returning their quarterback, Luke Altmaier. Iowa at number 7. Yawn, please. Give me a break. I think Mark Gronowski or whatever, the quarterback from South Dakota, I think he's going to help. I don't think he's going to make these guys the 7th best team in the conference. Nebraska at number 8. Okay. USC, number 9. Remember, it's an 18-team conference. Lincoln Riley is under the gun this time around. The Trojans have to get something going in the Big Ten after Riley's teams have dipped in wins totals year to year since he took over. He's a quarterback whisperer, so that portion of the team is of little worry. It's just a matter of he can finally get it going on defense. This is what I was talking about. Finally get it going on defense. They finally got it going last year. Did anybody actually watch USC's defense? Were they shorthanded? Yes. Were they the reason USC looked off last year? No. It was because of the uneven quarterback play late in the games in crucial situations. So I'm not going to read through the rest of the list. I'll let you know Washington got number 10 and UCLA was number 15. But the fact that they think USC's problem is defense and not a quarterback, that's why, like I said, these too early preseason lists, polls, whatever, they're terrible. Terrible. You know what's not terrible? The fact that I'll be back tomorrow with another episode of Locked on USC. We'll see if Ryder Lyons actually pulls that trigger, goes to BYU, makes life miserable for Oregon, and keeps me in a good mood. All right, I'll be back with another episode tomorrow. Don't forget, you want to find out about recruiting, anything that's going on, hit the portal show on YouTube. Brian Smith is your host. And then when you're all done with the Locked On Network, get over there to wearesc.com. Lots of good content for you. You'll enjoy it. So until then, everyone, you know what to do.